time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does. Glad to have you with us for the next 60 minutes on a Friday Sports Wrap. Thank you, Chad Erickson. We got a lot to do over the next hour. Busy show. Scott Seidenberg, pregame.com. Straight out of Vegas, AM edition. He'll join us later in the show for some Super Bowl handicapping advice. Tino Pattigno drops in to give us some futures advice on NASCAR. Talk about the clash at Bowman Gray last week as well. Get ready for Daytona coming up next week. Daytona 500. Wow, already here. So we'll get into it on that. Robert Littal scheduled to drop by from New Orleans. If he is awake, if he is coherent, I have no idea. I reached out. I have no idea if he's going to be here. You know who is here, though? Vladimir Lewis is here. What do you think? What do you think my chances of Littal actually making it for his segment today are? What do you think?
Ooh,
yeah, I feel the same way.
I'm leaning towards that he's not going to make it.
Take the no. Bet the
It's
no.
New Orleans. It's New Orleans on a Thursday night before the Super Bowl. That's when the parties are beginning.
I've sent 3 texts. And
none
no
of response,
them,
huh?
no response, and no read receipt either on those.
Nah, that's too many hurricanes. That's too many hurricanes.
We'll keep an eye on the phone, and we'll see if Robert Littal actually winds up dropping by. They handed out the honors last night, the 2024 NFL honors, even though they're giving them out in 2025. No surprises. I mean, look, this was like a coronation of sorts for everybody who got awards. I mean, we all knew Josh Allen was going to wind up the MVP. The odds makers knew. I mean, the odds makers knew. If you looked at the odds, you kind of knew.
Jason, hold on.
Let me get through this. Offensive Player of the Year was Saquon Barkley. Your Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. Your Defensive MVP, your Defensive Player of the Year was Patrick Surtain. So, I mean, not a lot of surprises to me. You're saying you're surprised?
I am, because it's been the first time in almost 20 or 30 years that the All-Pro, first-team All-Pro, who's a quarterback, didn't win MVP. So that's why it's shocking, because he put up better numbers this season than he did last season. And I guess the story, the Josh Allen story was great, but it's been a long time since a first-team All-Pro quarterback didn't win MVP.
Look, I'll say this. I thought Saquon Barkley should have won. I said it all year. That team's barely a playoff team if Saquon Barkley isn't on that roster. You go and look at the quarterback play, it's average. You look at the offensive line, it's average to below average. And you got Saquon Barkley out there. Oh, no. They haven't protected Jalen Hurts that well.
No.
They haven't protected Jalen Hurts that well. They haven't protected Hurts that well.
Jalen Hurts doesn't protect himself. He holds the ball a little too much. So he doesn't protect himself, but
I think they're great. I think they're great with the run. I just don't think their pass protection is that good. I think that's one of the things we're going to be watching for as we get into Super Bowl.
But I was
obviously
shocked.
On Sunday.
I was shocked. I was shocked that Josh Allen. Even if you look at the voting, it was very close. But I was shocked that they gave the edge to Josh Allen. And here's the thing, though: whoever won the award was still going to be second banana to 15.
It's true. It's true.
You're still going to be second banana.
I think there's some of this too with Josh Allen winning was the idea of it's just his time. That it was his time to get to have an opportunity at the award. He's an MVP caliber. He's an MVP caliber player, and everything sort of lined up this year with that team, that receiving core being sort of meh. What he was able to do with that team this year. Granted in a division with the Dolphins and the Bills and the Patriots, I get it. Dolphins, Jets, and the Patriots. Sorry. I don't have any problem with him winning the award. But I can easily make the argument to you that Barkley should have won the award with 2,000 yards in 16 games on a team that was as good as the Eagles wound up being.
And I can make a valid argument that Lamar should have won the award second time in a row and third time in his career, because he actually put up better numbers than he did. And he started. We're no longer looking at Lamar as a running quarterback or a mobile quarterback. We're looking at him as a complete quarterback, and his numbers this year proved it.
We got to get to more from the honors, and we'll do that coming up in just a couple of moments after a word from our friends at Edge Boost. Did you have money on Josh Allen to win the MVP? Maybe you got it before the season started. If you had put that money into your sports betting account with Edge Boost's Visa debit card, you would have been getting some cash back. I am pumped to tell you about our friends at Edge Boost, the financial platform paying you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. And with the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all your sports book. Think of all the cabbage you could be bringing in with that cash back. Daily fantasy site, casino transactions. That's free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're doing already, and it's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with a $250,000 daily limit, and it'll never be declined for gambling activity. They got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more. Sign up today, edgeboost.bet. Use promo code WRAP, W-R-A-P, when you sign up for your card. It takes less than 2 or 3 minutes to sign up. You use that promo code W-R-A-P when you're getting ready to sign up, and you'll have a free upgrade to your account. Better yet, just scan the QR code below. All right. Vladimir. Patrick Surtain, your defensive player of the year. Kind of a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a no-brainer. Nothing.
No,
That's what I mean. This whole awards thing last night, I just don't get that excited about it. And it's weird that the NFL does it all. You know, I love the way baseball does it. After the season is done, they get a few more days of media out of it. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird the way the NFL does it.
I don't think it's weird. I mean, it is after the season. There's only one more game left, and the regular season's over.
Do it after the season, though.
No, why? Do it during the Super Bowl week. Because nobody's gonna give a rat's ass about it after the Super Bowl. After the Super Bowl, nobody cares. Everybody's heading to Indianapolis for the combine. Do it during the week, that Thursday, where everybody's there already. You have all the NFL people there because there's media row, there's advertisers. They got to sponsor. So yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I just think it was
problem with it. I just think it'd be better suited.
Nah, I think I like it more than what the NBA does. When the NBA waits almost to like they wait. Then they do it one year, months after the season, they did an award show. I think sports is going a little crazy. That thinking that because they're handing out MVP awards that it's a Grammys.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Or the Oscars. No, we love it. You could do it on SportsCenter. Have the person go talk to whoever the 6 p.m. anchor is, and then that's it.
Well, that's it for NFL honors. I thought Saquon should have won. Josh Allen wins. I can live with it. How about LeBron James? Did you see what he did last night? We'll tell you about it next. Welcome back to this Friday edition of the show. Robert Littall's scheduled to join us in 10 minutes. Maybe he'll be here. Maybe he won't. We'll have to wait and see. We're playing the guessing game because he's in New Orleans, which means he could be anywhere at this point.
Well, it's only going to be 2 blocks. It's not the biggest city in the world. Tony Bourbon.
Vladimir Lewis has hung out with us all week from WQAM in Miami. Yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get there. WQAM in Miami. Oh, we got a cord in the screen. There we go.
Oh, look at that.
Nice show.
Look at that.
So Vlad has hung out with us all week from WQAM in Miami with Sam. Can I tell you something? Sam Yarnell, all week in New Orleans, I got one text from him the entire week from New Orleans. It was, I hugged Diana Rossini. That was the only text I got from him the entire week.
Well, he's enjoying himself.
I guess so. Living his best life. He may return to the show on Monday. It might just be me forever. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Did you see LeBron James last night? My God, I know it's the Warriors and it's no Jimmy Butler and it's Club and Baby Seals. The Warriors looked like they had no way. Hold on, let me just say this. Hold on. It looked like the Warriors in the first half of that game had no interest in being there. Okay? They played really hard in the second half, but as hard as they played in the second half, they offered no resistance in the first half of that game. That being said, anybody who knows me knows I am as big a LeBron fan as there are right now, and what he did last night in that 42-point effort was just sensational. I mean, 42, the numbers, 14 of 25, 42 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, only 3 turnovers, 6 of 9 from 3. I mean, he did everything. And look, it's kind of crazy. We all just kind of poo-poo the Lakers right now. They're 30-19, and everybody thinks they have no chance to win anything. And they just added one of the greatest offensive players on the planet in Luka Doncic. I get why people are down on him. People are wondering what kind of defense there's going to be there. I think teams are going to take it at Luka. I think there's going to be a concerted effort by teams offensively to go at Luka, who could return as early as Monday, it sounds like, for a game against the Jazz, from what we're hearing. But last night, to me, was all about LeBron. Just the second player ever over the age of 40 to go for 40. He had 42 in the game. Did you watch it, Vlad?
Of course I watched. Of course.
I don't assume anything.
I want to watch. It was a good night of basketball. I wanted to see how the teams that made the mega deals, how they would look. Dallas busted Boston's ass in the Garden in the finals rematch. But last night is one of the NBA's greatest rivalry, LeBron versus Steph. Warriors coming back from a loss they played the night before on a loss in Salt Lake City. And they look like a team that just played the night before in the first half.
They did. That's my point.
They look like a team that when you say club and baby seals, that's a little graphic. That's a little violent. It wasn't violent. It's the NBA.
First half it was pretty violent. It was a beatdown.
It's the NBA, Jason Page. If you're up by 20, the game really just started. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but Golden
State got to within 4. Golden State got to within 4 in the second half.
Yes, I think 4 or 5. Yeah, but Bron is Bron. There's always going to be, I didn't feel like they were going to lose the game. How about that? This ain't the old Warriors where you felt like, oh my God, they're going to lose the game.
And by the way, as good as LeBron was, Stephen Curry, 13 of 35. That was like an old school Kobe game. 13 of 35. Yeah, he had 37 points, but he took 35 shots to get there, Vlad.
And I'm happy you brought that because it brings up what I thought is a lot of people clowning the Lakers defense. And it wasn't great from before, but the couple of guys were hurt. Yeah. I think Dorian Finney-Smith, that acquisition from the Nets, was a great pickup. And I also think Jared Vanderbilt, who's been known as one of the best defenders in the league for quite a long time, for a good 5-6 years. He's finally healthy. They brought him back, and they've actually been playing really good defense in their last 12 games where they're 10-2.
The one thing is, Vlad, they've got Mark Williams, who's going to be coming in here. And as big as he is and the wingspan and all that stuff, he's actually not a rim. He's not really a rim protector like they need. So he's going to have to sort of develop into that. We'll talk some more about that on the other side. But first, a word from our friends at Credit Associates. How good was LeBron last night? Doing everything in 42 points and dominating against the Golden State Warriors. Is your credit card debt dominating you right now? Are you $10,000 or more in credit card debt, in over your head trying to make monthly payments? There's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, and high interest rates that keep you in debt for decades, and do it with one affordable low monthly payment. That's Credit Associates Debt Relief Program. It can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months, saving you thousands of dollars and decades in debt. Find out how much you could save. Call 1-800-747-5362. 1-800-747-5362. Credit Associates Debt Relief Program here on Sports Wrap. Anyway, Michael, I thought I'd show a picture of Michael. I thought he deserved it. There's Michael in the Wizards jersey, because all the video of Michael Jordan scoring 40 with the Warriors was like VHS. With the Wizards was like old VHS, like it was all grainy and stuff because it was so long ago.
It was like dial up.
It was like visual dial up. It was absolutely. It was like dial up TV. So I said we'll give an image of Michael.
No, I mean, listen, we've never seen. You know what?
We forget that Jordan did it in his 40s, and I think he did it 4 times, by the way, in his 40s. We do forget that.
Yeah, I don't think we forget.
I did.
Well, if you're forgetting, that's because you're also forgetting there was a good 3-year gap in between those
True.
that 40-point game. This has been continuous since 2003. You understand?
You don't got to, but you listen. You ain't got to sell it to me. I'm with you.
And to me, Paige, real quick, I think the team was playing well, but I think this trade actually revitalized him.
I think so too.
Revitalized him. The way he's played, the way obviously the Garden's the Garden. Anytime you go to MSG, you're gonna put up a performance. Yeah. But if you look at the Garden Saturday night, Tuesday night against the Clippers, and last night against the Warriors, LeBron is on his A game right now.
You saw him on the bench joking with Luka. He was having a great old time. We're coming back. Robert Littal may join us. He may not. Lots more to do on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. We were scheduled to have Robert Littal on the show today, but as we might have suspected, it's New Orleans, it's Super Bowl week. Can't be too surprised if Robert Littal maybe didn't make his wake-up call. We'll catch up with him next week on the show. We'll have a conversation I had with Jason Cole yesterday coming up here for you in just a couple of minutes. Jason Cole is one of the Hall of Fame selectors. He's an NFL writer, author. He's covered the game for a long time. And as far as the Hall of Fame is concerned, we should mention 4 announced going into the Hall of Fame August 2nd in Canton, Ohio, including tight end Antonio Gates, corner Eric Allen, defensive end Jared Allen, and wide receiver Sterling Sharp. They are your newest members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and again, they will be inducted August 2nd in Canton. It is the smallest class, we should note, since 2005, which was also a 4-member class. A great class, of course, with Dan Marino, Steve Young, Fritz Pollard, and Benny Friedman going in then. So that's what we got going into the Hall of Fame. Now, my conversation from yesterday with Hall of Fame selector Jason Cole. Jason Cole, Hall of Fame selector, Pro Football Hall of Fame selector, author, and contributor on this program, I am proud to say, who always has great insights on the NFL, joins us on the show. I know it's going to sound hyperbolic and prisoner to the moment, but it does feel like one of the most drab lead-ups to a Super Bowl I can remember in a while.
Yeah, there's not much else you can say about Kansas City at this point. I mean, it's exciting that they go into the three-peat, but you know all the players, you know all the personalities. We did this with Philadelphia 2 years ago. There's just not the same kind of feel of high drama between these two. And they're not two fan bases that are the most electric in the world. I mean, Philly used to be a little bit more interesting, and then they won a title, and they ate horse poop and did all that kind of fun stuff, if that's fun, I guess. And, you know, so we went through that, and we've seen them back now. And I think that it also feels like chalk this year. Like everybody kind of said, oh, Kansas City on that side, Philadelphia on the other side. Isn't it pretty obvious? And I know that Detroit was in there and that Buffalo and Baltimore were interesting. But you always kind of thought, okay, these were the teams that were going to make it, or certainly the heavy favorites.
What will you be looking for in the opening minutes or opening quarter in this Eagles Chiefs matchup? To me, it boils down to two things. One, how can the Eagles pass rush get to Patrick Mahomes? Jalen Carter's been so dynamic in this postseason, really throughout the season. And also, do the Chiefs just take the mentality of we're going to force Jalen Hurts to beat us, we're not going to let Saquon Barkley beat us, and sort of how that pans out? What are you looking for?
Well, I want to see if the Eagles can get this game into a tempo that they like, because one of the things that the Chiefs do a really good job of is controlling the tempo of the game and not having to throw a lot and not having to risk much and not having to go 5 and 6 straight passes and take a lot of deep shots and try to play catch up. And when I'm the Eagles, I'm trying to get on top of them as much as possible to force them to throw so that I can turn Jalen Carter loose and, turn that pass rush loose and get some favorable matchups. If you allow this to be a one-score game, or a kind of a slow plodding kind of a game, that plays right into the Chiefs' hands, I think, because the Chiefs have not had a great season. Like, if they win, they'll be only the second team in Super Bowl history that got outgained on a per play basis. The only other team that's ever done that was New England in 2001. And that New England team wanted to play games close to the vest and play them slow, even though Tom Brady was the quarterback. That was really his first year starting, and they didn't know what they really had then. So what I see is a very different Chiefs team than we've seen in the previous 5 years that wants to play much more of a ball control game, because that offensive line is not very good.
No, I agree with you on that. Andy Reid announced earlier in the week that he's going to coach for at least one more year. Does that point to you the fact that obviously he knows what he has here in playing with 15 and Patrick Mahomes and what he could do? But does it also point to the idea, and you and I may have talked about this prior, the idea of him eventually surpassing Don Shula?
I don't really think that Andy Reid spends a lot of time thinking about that. I think the rest of us think about it a lot for him. I think that Andy Reid, and I communicate with him on a pretty regular basis, and I haven't asked him about this, but I think he just likes what he's doing. Like, he's passionate about it. He has fun. I mean, who has more fun than Andy Reid? Eat cheeseburgers and coach Patrick Mahomes. I mean, like, how good is that life, man? I mean, you win Super Bowls and you're already there, and yeah, you might pass Don Shula, but like, okay, isn't that kind of a foregone conclusion if you do your job well and you got Patrick Mahomes? I mean, like, go have another cheeseburger. This is fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Do you think it's a good thing if the Chiefs win a third straight Super Bowl? Is it a good thing for the NFL?
I don't think it really much matters to the NFL. There's going to be 110 million people in the United States watching it, and a billion worldwide going to watch it because it's Super Bowl Sunday. I mean, like, I think they're Teflon. They're completely and totally Teflon. Like, it does. That's why when the people who say, I had this one reader who's like, the NFL loves dynasties and this drives ratings for them. And I'm like, and that's why they've got the refs are pulling all these calls for them. I'm like, the NFL doesn't care, number one. Number two, it would be idiotic to care. It would be idiotic to try and arrange it, because if you ever got caught, you destroy your product. So no, that's not what's going on. I think they're just like, hey, whatever comes. And they just, and it's like, send your money, we're fine. And that's what happens. Like, they're just cashing checks right now.
Yeah.
And doing a great job doing it.
I'm suspicious that the numbers for this game might be down a little bit from a viewership standpoint. And again, this is stuff only people like us in the media talk about. I get it. But I have a feeling the numbers for this game might be down a little bit.
Whatever, 2 or 3% maybe, because people are bored. It's not, I mean, yeah, it's not great, but like, this is an amazing accomplishment.
Oh, it is.
This is a truly amazing.
I don't disagree. I got to go real quick. Who wins?
Chiefs.
I'm with you.
28-20 or something like that. Right. I like that's right. This team. I like them a lot.
Jason Cole, always appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
Be good.
All right, good to have you with us on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. We will have Scott Seidenberg hanging out with us from pregame.com, straight out of Vegas, AM edition, to help us handicap the Super Bowl. He'll join us for the final couple of segments of the show. But it's Friday, and if it's a Friday and it's NASCAR season, that means this guy is here. Tino Pattigno, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, you came out firing last week with the cookout clash at Bowman Gray. You were worried you might be a little rusty, but Tino Pattigno, we had ourselves quite the race last weekend.
Oh, yeah, gold never rusts. It was an awesome time watching that race at the Clash, and it was exactly what the Clash needed to be at Bowman Gray. We saw the last chance qualifier, guys beating and banging. Josh Berry ultimately advances. He was someone I called out. And then we saw in the main race, Chase Elliott absolutely dominating. He led 171 laps to get the victory. That's the most in Clash history. Now, it was in a different track, so that makes sense from that standpoint, but still a good race to be had. And Ryan Blaney as well, he and Chase Elliott looked to be very strong. Blaney started last in the field for that main event, finished in second, so he passed a lot of cars.
Were you surprised in the short track that Chase Elliott led for so much of that race?
I'm actually not, because we've seen it be harder to pass drivers on short tracks, and Chase Elliott is one of the best. Now, when you and I talked last week, you said, is there anything we can take away from this race specifically? And honestly, I think we took away a lot more than I had thought we would have. Chase Elliott and the way he drove and the corner exit speed and the way the car handled at this type of short track is something that we may see him be able to do at Martinsville. When we look back at Martinsville last year, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, two of the top drivers, and once again, they fit the bill there again in this race. So to me, I think that could show short tracks this season, we'll see the same sort of thing.
Outside of Chase Elliott, what kind of takeaways did you get from this race?
Well, the drivers that are in new teams and everything like that, we saw Justin Haley with Spire and Chase Briscoe in the 19 team filling in for Martin Truex Jr., who's now in a part-time schedule. I didn't see as much, surprise or noise out of them as I would have potentially liked to. No really strong runs from anyone like that, but one major guy, Shane Van Gisbergen, around the top 10, always racing hard. Short tracks specifically are so hard in NASCAR and everything it takes to do so.
He's a road course. He's a road course guy typically, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he came from the Supercar series to race road courses, and he won the first Chicago street race, and now he's going to be racing full time this year. So to see him being strong on ovals is scary. Drivers, be aware. If he can have top 10 runs and then always win on road courses, he's a lock for the playoffs, maybe the championship.
All right, we will talk about futures as it relates to NASCAR coming up in just a moment. After a word from our friends at Credit Associates. Are you $10,000 or more in credit card debt, in over your head trying to make monthly payments? There's a powerful debt relief program the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Overcome the debt trap of multiple credit cards, high payments, and high interest rates that keep you in debt for decades with one affordable low monthly payment. Credit Associates Debt Relief Program can help you resolve your debt in as little as 24 to 36 months, saving you thousands of dollars and decades in debt. Find out how much you can save. Call 1-800-747-5362. That's 1-800-747-5362, or just scan the QR code below. All right, NASCAR season is underway with the Daytona 500 next weekend. Look ahead at some of the futures that you like for the upcoming season. What do you got?
All right, so this is some big ones here. Chase Elliott over 1.5 wins. So Chase Elliott to get 2 wins at -117. I do like the value there. I can see him getting 3 to 4 wins this season. Now, he's not the same driver he used to be in terms of dominating races. That's because of the resurgence of William Byron, Kyle Larson being the most dominant driver in the world. But I do see Chase winning more because he was able to get his first win back last year at Texas. Ryan Blaney, these are two guys who finished 1-2 in the Clash. I expect him to continue to being the best Ford driver. He's -180 to get over 2.5 wins. So not the best value there, but this is a driver where it should almost be a lock in this instance. He got 3 wins last year, but he was in contention for 6 or 7. If he can bring more of those races home and finish at the end and stay out of some bad luck, I think that's some good price there on Ryan Blaney. And then this one's a fan favorite, Kyle Busch. Now, we know he went winless last season.
I love it.
Can he get back to victory lane? I think so. But the books are going to be aware of that. So he's +120 to get 2 wins. This is where people could sort of say it's a toss-up. I definitely think he gets 1, but I'll go the over there. I'll take the plus money for Kyle Busch to get 2 wins, because if it's Kyle Busch and he still hasn't gotten a win, he ruined his streak of 20-plus seasons getting victories. He's going to be mad about that. I think he comes out firing this season, and I think that team is going to be one to be messed with here.
Shane Van Gisbergen was a guy you pointed to. Hey, you were excited to see what he did. Is there another driver that a lot of us haven't heard of that you think could make some noise this year?
Well, I think Chase Briscoe is one of them. I think he's been known a little bit throughout the garage now. He spent some time with Stewart-Haas Racing, won last year at Darlington in walk-off fashion to get into the playoffs. And he's a notable driver. When he was in the Xfinity Series, won a lot of races. But I think the thing that stands out to me the most is this is the best equipment he's ever been in. And he's a driver that's overperformed when he's been in that Stewart-Haas Racing equipment last year. The team shut down. They had less employees working there every single day because of the fact that people needed to go and find jobs. Despite all of this, the 14 car and Chase Briscoe still made it to victory lane. That's something to now see him move into Joe Gibbs Racing top tier equipment. I'm really excited about taking a look at his win total. For him to get 2 wins is plus 120. I like those odds there. I can see Chase Briscoe getting 3 to 4 wins this season. That's sort of my hot take, if you will, because it takes a lot to win that many times, but I think he's a driver who's capable of doing so.
I've only got about 20 seconds here. How dangerous is it to bet the Daytona 500 right now before anybody runs a single lap in practice there?
Honestly, not as dangerous as you may think. There's some value out there, but I'd like to wait just because the odds don't change that much from practice and qualifying. If we can see a driver start on the pole, his odds won't go down that much with it being a super speedway.
Kyle Busch plus 1,100 right now. Best odds to win it. Tino Pattigno, we'll see you on Friday next week. All right, we roll along on this Friday edition of Sports Wrap. It is a special show today. You may not know why it's a special show, but it is a special show today. Because not only do we have Vladimir Lewis on, who's hanging out with us all week from WQAM in Miami, who was my old running mate at NBC Sports Radio, produced my show for a number of years there. But not only do we have Vlad, but for the next 2 segments, we also have the guy who replaced me at NBC Sports Radio. The Judas to my Jesus, Scott Seidenberg, is here. So he is hanging out with us for a couple of segments from pregame.com, straight out of Vegas, AM edition. I don't know, whatever the hell else you're hosting. You do like 17 podcasts. What else? You got something else you want to promote? Because you're live on
VSiN every Saturday.
Oh,
and
that's
Sunday.
right. You are on VSiN on Saturdays and Sundays. I forgot about that. I just had dinner with the VSiN guys last week. It was Brian Musburger and a whole bunch of people from there. So it was good. I had a good time with those guys. It was good to meet them. All right, Scott Seidenberg. Super Bowl is here. I would imagine you've got charts and graphs and all of these things in order to get us ready for the game. What are you looking at when you look at Sunday's game? What sort of stands out to you as we get ready for Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, the one thing that we have to acknowledge is that we've been breaking down this game for 2 weeks, and we know that it is going to be the most heavily bet football game of the entire season. Now, what does that mean? That means you're going to get a lot of public money flooded into the market, and whether that's reflected in the side or the total, maybe not as much because this is the sharpest game that you're going to get in regards to a side and a total, but it will be reflected in the prop markets. And what does the public bet? Overs. Now, you've missed the boat already as we sit here and get closer and closer to kickoff. If you liked overs on certain player props, you've already been taxed on it because you needed to bet it early if you were going to take an over. The public has inflated every single one of the most popular player props to the point where some of them are either unbettable or there's value on the unders. Now, as I mentioned, the unders, that's partly my strategy, and a lot of sharp bettors' strategies is waiting now that we get to the end of the week and we get closer to the game, because these numbers are getting inflated on these player props, that you actually take the unders on these guys because the market is just it's not the market overvaluing them, it's the public betting these numbers up so much that you got to take unders.
Can I tell you what I think of when I hear unders? Vlad, you know where I'm going to go with this? Remember our buddy Eric Casillas?
Eric Casillas, yeah.
Remember our buddy Eric Casillas?
Yeah.
Says betting the under is like betting for the bride not to show up at the wedding. It's like going to the wedding and being like, I hope the bride doesn't show up. That's what betting that's what betting unders is like.
He's right.
Can I ask you something, Scott? What is the percentage of sports bettors that actually bet props? Do we know? Like, how many people are just betting overs and unders on the game, the spread, the total? Are there a lot of people that are getting into prop bets?
Oh, yes.
Really?
And it's actually, I think this season more than any season, and we saw that in just how much the public just crushed the sides with all the favorites winning this year. Now, this year was an anomaly. Like, Vegas had a losing month in December. Like, it just never happens.
I know.
It was the first losing month in forever because it was a historic run for favorites. Since week 5, favorites covered at the highest rate in the NFL in history. So the public was just crushing. It's getting harder and harder to really find edges in the market when it comes to sides and totals. The real edges are in these prop markets because most of the times, and I'm not saying it's all of the time, but it is a high majority of the times, the sports books, one, have too much to focus on. Right? They got to set lines for the games. They got to set lines for other sports. There's so many things going on that they just can't pay attention to every single news clipping or Twitter post or whatever that comes out about certain players or press conference nuggets that you can pick up on so you can really find an edge in the game plan for a specific team on a given week. And the prop markets are based on an algorithm. The lines are set based on the player's averages for the season. So if a guy averages 70 yards per game, guess what his prop line's going to be? 71.5 yards. But you can, if you are a sharp prop bettor, if you follow the markets, if you see maybe a line is overinflated or a player is undervalued because, hey, you're following the press conferences. You hear a coach saying, we got to give this guy more work, or you are breaking down the game saying, hey, the snap share is going in this guy's favor as opposed to the other guy's favor, and I find value in this guy being on the field more. There's certainly more money to be made, and you can ask any sharp bettor out there. There is more money to be made in the prop market now than there is on sides and totals.
Well,
it's just really difficult to consistently win. I mean, look, the best bettors in the world are winning at 54, 56%.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do it now because of how sharp these lines are.
Got about a minute here, Vlad. Go quick.
So Scott, because of that, don't you make more money because of this with the in-game betting when you're watching? Like you said, it's an algorithm. So if you're watching the game and they had stuff, say they had LeBron James at 27.5 yesterday, and you saw his first quarter, is that way when you're looking at that algorithm? That a better chance or better way for you to make money than it is when you're betting the games and you're looking at the lines and the totals and you're doing all that, formulation. The algorithm seems to be better with the prop bets.
Real quick, Scott.
Live betting is extremely profitable. And especially now that all these sports books, especially the widely available sports books like the DraftKings and FanDuels of the world, are offering these opportunities to do in-game, not just props, but in-game, same-game parlays, there are definitely edges that you can find.
Scott, we'll get some prop bets out of you and a pick on the game. Odds and Ends is next. All right, getting set to put the wraps on this baby for a Friday. We'll get back to Scott Seidenberg in a couple of minutes. Get his Super Bowl prediction, maybe a couple of props that he likes. Get some free picks from him. He charges, All right.
Like he should.
All right. Hold on.
Like you should.
All right. So we'll have that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Make sure to check out our podcast if you haven't already done so. Subscribe on all your favorite podcasting platforms, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. Without any further delay, time for some Odds and Ends, presented by our friends at Edge Boost. I am pumped to tell you about Edge Boost. We've been telling you about it for weeks now. The financial platform that pays you cash back to wager. Edge Boost is an online bank account that pays you for every deposit. With the Edge Boost Visa debit card, you're getting up to 0.5% cash back on all your sportsbook, daily fantasy site, and casino transactions. Free money back in your pocket just for doing what you're doing already. It's a no-brainer. Plus, your Edge Boost debit card starts with an unprecedented $250,000 daily limit, and it'll never be declined for gambling activity. It's the card for gamblers. They've got built-in tools to help you stay responsible, and there's absolutely no hidden fees or minimum required balances. So stop leaving money on the table. Visit edgeboost.bet to learn more and sign up today. And when you do, use my promo code WRAP, W-R-A-P. That's WRAP, W-R-A-P. Get an upgrade to your account with Edge Boost. All right, Scott Seidenberg and Vlad, odds and ends. Boy, can we get more UConn and Tennessee? Man, Tennessee hadn't beaten them, I think, since 2007. They get the win late last night against UConn, snapped the Huskies' 11-game winning streak. UConn ranked 5th in the nation. I watched that game. I don't know how Tennessee's only ranked 19th, because that team looked really good last night. That's an impressive win for that program, and we'll see what happens when we get to the NCAA postseason. A lot of people feel like Gino has something to prove right now. They haven't won a title at UConn in a while. We'll see what happens when we get to March and March Madness. All right, guys, Super Bowl predictions. Scott, give me one or two props you really like, and then we'll get to our game predictions.
Well, I mentioned earlier how there's value in the unders, and one of my favorite unders now that we've hit the end of the week and it's actually starting to come back is jump on Saquon Barkley longest rush to go under 25.5 yards. In Championship Sunday, this was the most popular prop bet. It was the #1 most bet prop across both games. His over on the longest rush. It started at 23.5. It got bet up to 24.5. It closed at 25.5. And guess what? First carry of the game, 60-yard touchdown. He goes over. The public cashes. Everybody has a great time. But because of that, this number was also pushed up again this week to the point where it got to 25.5 yards. The Kansas City Chiefs defense this season has allowed 6 runs of 25 yards or more. 3 of those were to opposing quarterbacks in Josh Allen, CJ Stroud in the playoffs, and Bo Nix. Only 3 running backs had carries of 25 yards this season against the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Give me Saquon Barkley under 25.5 yards if you can still find the 25.5 out there.
All right. You got any more? Or is that the only prop you're giving us? Give me one more.
I'll give you Dallas Goedert over 4.5 receptions. This is one, everyone's all over Dallas Goedert yardage. I like receptions more than yardage, though, because especially when it comes to a tight end, it could be a bailout play, and Jalen Hurts can get rid of the ball, and maybe it's a short gain. And I'd rather just get the receptions because the targets will be there. He's got 15 catches on 18 targets this postseason alone. The Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season allowed the second most catches to opposing tight ends, an average of 6.2 per game, and they did allow the most yards to opposing tight ends this season as well.
All right, guys, I got 1 minute and 45 seconds for game predictions. Give me what you got.
Philadelphia Eagles win 28-25.
Chiefs 3-peat 27-24.
Does this get, by the way, it's -1.5 right now on FanDuel. Does this get down to a pick by game time, or do you think it's going to stay?
It's one across the board. So, and when I say across the board, I mean,
are they getting
with the exception of like, you know, the FanDuel and DraftKings, like everywhere in town here in Vegas, that's one.
Scott, are they getting action on both sides, or are they people, or is there one side leaning towards?
You know, the handle's
50-50.
actually been
Like
the handle's actually been disappointing here in Vegas on the game. Maybe more money will come in this weekend as we get, you know, up into the game, but it's actually been a pretty low handle. Maybe it's just not a sexy matchup. Maybe Chiefs fatigue, whatever it is, or it's just a very, very sharp line.
Last question: what prop bet that nobody's looking at they should look at? A Scott Seidenberg surprise prop bet.
I mean, everyone's looking at every prop bet, but I think Xavier Worthy gets involved in the running game. Look for Xavier Worthy rushing props.
What about a 50-yard field goal kick?
It's only going to be Harrison Butker.
We're in a dome. We're in a dome, so it might happen.
Yeah, but the Eagles don't trust Jake Elliott, and the Eagles go for it on 4th down. So I actually like over 2.5 4th down conversions made in this game. I would go under 1.5 field goals for Jake Elliott, over 1.5 field goals for Harrison Butker.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll take the Chiefs on the money line. Give me Kansas City on the money line.
Them, right?
You just can't. You can't.
All right, Jason, I know we're running out of time.
Yeah.
I want to play a quick exercise with you, okay?
All right, quick.
This will take like 40 seconds.
I don't have 40, but okay.
All right. Are the Eagles better now than they were 2 years ago?
No.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
All right.
Eagles.
I
With
mean,
Saquon Barkley and the best defense in the NFL?
All right. Okay. Fine.
Are the Chiefs better now than they were 2 years ago?
No.
No. Eagles were 2-point favorites in that Super Bowl 2 years ago. The Eagles are the better team this year, but the market's saying we cannot make the mistake 3 years in a row of making the Chiefs an underdog.
Chiefs just
Can't go
find
against
ways to
Patty.
win games. I got to go, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you all back here on Monday.